guys, so sorry for that weird intro, I guess you can say. I was not expecting. Yeah. I mean, I one day thought that I was gonna put this video together, but I didn't think that it was gonna end up like this. I never in a million years would think I was gonna expose myself like this in a video, opening a blog like this or a video like this of me just like bawling my eyes out. But anyways, thank you guys for coming back to my channel, and we're gonna get into this video because it's gonna be long. And I really debated whether or not making this video because it is a touchy subject, and although it's been a couple months from the whole miscarriage thing, like, it still gets to me. There's days that it's a toll on myself, and then there's days that I'm like super chill and like meh, and then there's the other days that it's just like it hits me, and it hits me hard. And I feel like over the past months I've been letting myself, like, okay, like, if you feel sad, feel sad, but don't feel sad like forever and ever. Like, I'll let myself feel sad like for a day or a couple of days, but then I don't let it take it over. I don't let the sadness take over me. So back in February, Angel and I went to Vegas, and we went the last weekend of February. So by that time frame, I was late on my period, and Angel knew that, so it was like, it wasn't like something new. And I always tell him when I'm on my period or not. He always knows. So anyways, by that time frame, I had been late with my period for a couple of days, and honestly I didn't think I was pregnant. I was like, oh, maybe I'm just stressed out or whatever, and I haven't gotten my period. So we left to Vegas, we came back, we just went for the like Friday, Saturday, and then we came back Sunday. We came back Sunday, and then the following week, by the 4th of March, which was the day that I got a pregnancy test from Target, I was already late almost like 2 weeks. So at that point I was like, okay, like, there's something going on, because I'm never that late. Like, I'm always like exact on my period. It comes back positive. So I was like, what the heck? Which was the clip that started this video. I was pretty shocked because I didn't think I was gonna be pregnant. My body did feel weird. I felt a lot of tiredness. Like, I would be tired the whole freaking time. I would do the very minimum around, and then I would get exhausted and want to go take a nap. My boobs will hurt a lot, and then on top of that, I would get cramps. Not crazy cramps, but I would get like little like piquetitos like here and there. So I didn't think that I was pregnant. I was like, oh, my period's just late and it's coming because of that. But obviously it wasn't. That's how I was feeling, so I didn't think I was pregnant. On the 5th of March, which was a Friday, so I go to Kaiser to get a blood test, and the lady at the lab was like, oh, you can't just get a blood test like that, like, you have to go see a doctor, then he has to authorize it in order for you to get a blood test, which I think it's so stupid, and it's a waste of time and money, because I literally paid 30 bucks to see the doctor for less than 5 minutes, and then I paid another 10 to freaking get my blood, que me sacaran sangre. So anyways, I see the doctor, and I tell him like, oh, like, I've literally been late like for almost 2 weeks already, and I took 2 at-home tests, and they both came back positive. And he's like, okay, like, he told me like, if those 2 tests came back positive, then it's most likely that you are, but we're gonna make sure with the blood test. So anyways, I went to get my blood test done, and then that same day at night I got back my results. At this point, the HCG word, and like, it was just like, what? And the HCG, it said something like HCG less than 4, and then my number was like 140 something. It was like 100 and something, or was it, I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if it was 100 and something. I see that the number is more than 4, so I Google it, and according to Google, I was probably like a month or so. So at that point, I was still confused, because I thought it was gonna be like, yes, you're pregnant, or no, you're not pregnant. They had just a number. So I emailed my primary doctor, which she didn't even know anything was going on. I emailed her, and I was like, oh, like, I went to get this blood test because I thought I was pregnant, but I just need you to clarify, yes, you're pregnant, or no, you're not pregnant. So her assistant got back to me like on Monday, and she's like, oh, like, yeah, we're calling you just to let you know that you are pregnant. And she told me that I had to contact OBGYN so they can take care of it and like set up my first appointment or whatnot. So I called OBGYN, and we're like, I'm talking to this nurse and we're going through everything, and she's like, oh, like, yeah, your number is this number, but that number is still low, so we're gonna need your retest. I took my first blood test like on Friday the 5th and retest, and the number did go up. So I was like, okay, as a number, I thought that as long as the number went up, it was good, because they never told me like, oh, you're supposed to be here, like your number is supposed to be here, and then by the second test you're supposed to be up here. Like, they never gave me a number, they just told me I had to keep going up. So I thought that, okay, like, let's say if the first number was 90 and then I went up to like 200 or like, I don't know, then it should be fine, which it wasn't, because like the whole HCG count was just so confusing to me. I just thought that as long as the number kept going up, then it should be good. So we leave to Sinaloa. Angel didn't know that I was pregnant. The only person that knew I was pregnant was my little sister. So we leave to Sinaloa. We're out there. It's hot as hell. I couldn't be drinking, obviously. Like, there's just so many things that I had to suck it up because it was hot as shit, and I was just like so annoyed with the heat. Every time that everybody else would drink, I would be the only one that wouldn't drink, and they would always be like, oh, like, do you want this, do you want that, this and that, and I'll be like, no, no, no. My excuse out of it was because I was the DD, so I'm like, okay, like, no, I'm driving, I can't be drinking like that. They wouldn't really question it. Like, Angel, like, he didn't even, ni se le cruzó por ahí that I found that I was pregnant. Like, I don't know, I just feel like I couldn't stand Angel. Like, I couldn't even stand looking at him, and he annoys me from time to time. Exaggerated, I couldn't stand him, and I've never told him this, so he's gonna see this video and he's gonna listen to this for the first time. I couldn't like stand him, and I think it was because he knew that I wasn't trying to get pregnant, and then I ended up getting pregnant, and it was just like, I don't know if it was because of that or just my hormones or both things. I have no clue, but I was just like, nomás de mirarlo, I couldn't stand him. We left to Sinaloa, we came back. So we come back from Sinaloa, and it was that day. Oh, another thing too, it was like, all the time I was like over fucking emotional. It would get to me quick, in the sense like I would get so emotional out of everything, and I'm not like that. I'll see a sad movie and I'll be like, okay, it's sad, but it won't make me cry. And I feel like in that time frame, like I don't know, my hormones were just bad. Yeah, and I remember Angel and we got here. Angel and I were like, oh, like, what are we gonna eat or something like that. So I went over and hugged Angel. I'll find the clip, but I went over and hugged Angel, and I started crying and I started bawling, and I never do that. So he was like, oh, what's going on? And then I told him like, oh, go to the room. And in the room there was a nightstand, and on the nightstand there were some cookies, some Oreo cookies, and then there was a 2 pregnancy tests that said positive. So I told Angel, I was like, oh, go to the room and go get me the cookie. I'll just insert that clip right here so you guys can see it. So anyways, guys, so that's how Angel found out. I just felt like at that moment I was just like so overwhelmed with myself and everything that I feel like I had to tell him, because originally I was trying to hold in the secret to his birthday, but obviously I couldn't hold it in, and so I just told him. When Angel found out, that was like 4 or 5 days before the whole miscarriage. Day of the miscarriage, I had to go to work. That day was on the 14th. So everything happened like in the same month. I was over there working, and that day, the 14th, on the morning, I woke up like at 5 or 6 in the morning, like way earlier than what I would usually get up to. I was cramping like so bad. I was cramping so bad, and I was like, oh hell no. Like, my first thing that came into my mind, I was like, oh hell no, I better not be having a miscarriage. And then I just tried to calm myself down, and I went to the bathroom, and then everything was fine. And then I went back to bed, but I couldn't fall asleep. So then afterwards, like, I got up again, I got ready for work. I left to work, and when I was at work, I was cramping so fucking bad that I could not be standing up. Like, I had to be sitting down, and then I feel like I would get really bad cramps that I would like grab on to like the fucking arms of the chair. Like, that's how bad they were. I was just there for 4 hours. So on my last hour, like, I kept going to the bathroom because I was scared. One of the last times that I went to the restroom, like, I went to pee, and then I saw a little bit of blood, and I was like, oh hell no. And the thing was that I couldn't just freaking dip out of there, because I had to take care of this lady, and her boo or whatever he lived with her, but he was out of the place. So I was like, shit, I can't just leave her like that. So I had to wait like 30 minutes for my shift to end and for that guy to come back so I could go home. The time passes by, and I was like, I was like, okay, like, this can get like under control, because it wasn't like it, you could barely see it, but it wasn't like a crazy like, oh shit, like a lot of blood, like, sorry, this is like freaking TMI, but it wasn't like a lot of blood, like it wasn't like, oh shit, like I'm freaking bleeding out. Like, so I was like, okay, like maybe this, I can get this under control. So I was like getting off from work, and I texted or I called Andrew, I don't remember, and I told him like, oh, this is going on. I was like, we better go to the ER. My dad was here with him because they were fixing this room. Actually managed to get back over here. My dad didn't know, like, I'm telling you, like at that point the only ones that knew that I was pregnant was Angel and my sister. Nobody else knew. So my dad's in here, and I literally I was like, I need to like make up something right now so he can leave. I told him like, oh, I'm not feeling well, like you're just gonna take me to the doctor. By that point, like, he was waiting for me. By that point I walked in and I just said that, and then my dad like left outside and he got his stuff and he left, and I was waiting for Angel in the car in the driveway, and my dad looked at me. He was like, oh, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, I don't know, like I don't remember what I told him I had, but I just told him like, oh, que me dolía la panza. I don't remember what I told him, but I just told him something, and he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. But he knew I was lying to him. He didn't believe it, and he was like, okay, like I'm gonna go home, if you need anything just call me. And I was like, all right. And he left. So then we left to the ER. The ER from the house is like 20-30 minutes away, and girl, I wanted to beat the shit out of the fucking nurse. Sorry, the battery just died, but I went to get a new battery. So anyways, let me keep with the story. The day of the miscarriage, when I say I wanted to beat the shit out of the fucking nurse guy, dude, we check in or whatnot, and the check-in thing was outside. So I was sitting down in a chair right here, and Angel was across from me in a bench sitting down. After like he's like doing something on the computer, this lady, another nurse lady, she comes over with like this Ziploc bag of like full of little like the little blood containers, and I was like, oh hell no, this girl about to take all this fucking blood out of me. So I remember that day I hadn't really drank water, so I already knew that it was gonna be a bitch for them to get blood out of me, because I was basically dehydrated. So I was like, dude, like I didn't say anything, but I knew like it wasn't gonna go good. So anyways, like they both checked. The guy was like doing all the computer paperwork, and the lady was like, oh, like I need to take out blood because of this and that. And when I see the whole 6 bottles, I was like, do you really need to take the 6 bottles? And she's like, yeah, like every time that we have somebody that's pregnant, like we have to do this, that's a procedure and whatnot. So I was like, whatever. She tried to, she couldn't take out the blood from here, because the last time that I had gone to get my blood taken, the guy left me a bruise right here. So she's like, oh, I can't do it right here. And then she looked at this arm, like my vein from here, and she's like, oh no, okay, it wasn't good. So she's like, oh, like I'm gonna have to take blood from here or here. Ahorita se me miran saltadas, and then that time frame, ni madre. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to take blood from here or here. So she literally, she poked the shit out of both of my hands, and she couldn't take blood from anywhere. And I was like, ugh, like I was just so annoyed. And to me, I've always hated needles, blood, like that in hospitals. Like I just can't. I was like living my worst nightmare on top of everything that was going on. Like that was just like, really. So she poked the shit out of my hands, and she couldn't get any blood. The arm, she tried, I think she ended up trying this one as well, but she couldn't. So then once the nurse guy was done with whatever he was doing, he was like, oh, I'm gonna take a look into it, because she couldn't get the blood out. So he was like, yeah, we can for sure do this arm, because I had a bruise. This one, he poked it as well, nothing. So what he ended up doing was he took a blood from this hand. Oh, my hand shook right now from just remembering. He ended up taking out blood from this hand. So like he basically me inyectó aquí en la vena, right from right here. The blood started coming out, but it was like so, I'm telling you guys, I was freaking dehydrated, because it was like literally like coming out slow. Like it was coming out, but it was just coming out slow. And this fucking dude fucking pushes, like my hand was like, I was sitting down, right? So here, let me scoot back. Like I was sitting down in the chair, and he's like, put your arm on like the armrest, and then just let like your hand like hang. That way like the blood like flowed down like that. So I did that, And since it was still like, it was coming out a little bit faster but not as fast, he started like wiggling the crap out of the needle, and I was like, I was ready to fucking punch him. Like, I was pissed and I wanted to cry so bad, but I was sucking it up. So Angel was behind me and he just kept looking at me, dude, because me estaba retorciendo el pinche dolor de lo que me dolía. And the guy was like, oh, like, I'm almost done, I'm almost done. So he ended up doing that, and he took out like 6 little things of blood. And his dumbass at the end, he because they have like a little thing that locks it, the little thing, he didn't close it right, so like there was a bunch of blood just coming down my hand. It was just a fucking mess. And then he was just like, oh, you can go now. And then my hand was all bloody, and I was like, dude, you better clean this shit up. So he cleaned my hand up, and I was already like, it was just because it was like, okay, like, I'm fucking going through this thing that is a miscarriage, and then you guys can't even fucking do your job right. And then there's a nurse that comes out, an old white lady. She comes out to get me, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna take you in, blah blah blah, to a room. And then I asked her, I already knew she was gonna say no, but I asked her, I was like, oh, can he come with me, like Angel to come with me? And she's like, no, he can't come in because of the whole COVID thing. So I was like, all right, whatever. So he stayed behind, and I went in, and then she told me, like, right away when we were walking, she's like, oh, I'm gonna need you to get me a pee test. And I was like, a pee test? Like, dude, like, you guys want the pee test? Like, all this fucking blood? Like, I was just, oh, it's like, I can't, I remember me enojo. So I told her, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get a pee test unless you give me water, because I know I'm dehydrated. And she's like, well, you have a vejiga, like a gallbladder. She's like, well, you have a gallbladder, you're gonna have to go pee at one point. And I was like, this bitch. And I told her, I was like, well, if you don't get me water, I'm not gonna go pee, period. Because like, if it was already hard enough for them to get blood of me, I knew I was not gonna be able to go pee. So the lady was like super fucking rude, and then she's like, well, I can't give you water unless the doctor authorizes it. And I was like, well, if you want a pee test, you can ask him. He got me to a room, and like, I was just annoyed and frustrated and mad and upset. Like, I was just like everything. And she connected me and whatnot, and like a couple minutes later the doctor comes in, and he's like, oh, we're gonna take you downstairs to get an ultrasound. Which they did 2 things. They did like the regular like gel ultrasound, and then they did another thing. That shit hurt so fucking bad. I'll put like a little Google description right here. So anyways, they did that second ultrasound. That thing hurt so freaking bad, but they sent me back upstairs. The ultrasound thing for both took like about 20 minutes. I already knew what the doctor was gonna tell me, but I still had hopes. That I remember when after the ultrasound I had gone to the bathroom, and like the bleeding had gotten worse and worse. Like, now it really looked like a regular period. And to me, when I got back upstairs, like, I was just like, this is not good, like, at all. I had like this little IV thing, I think it's what it's called. I'll insert another picture right here. What they did, they left that one connected when I was outside, and they were like, oh, like, we're just gonna leave it there just in case, like, we need to take out blood, then we can just take it out from there quickly. Which they never ended up using it again, and that shit was just so annoying. And so it's just so uncomfortable. Doctor like comes back, and he's like, oh, like we just got your ultrasound thing back. And like, he's like, oh, like, I just need to let you know that you had a miscarriage. Like, I didn't say anything or nothing. I didn't cry right there and then, but I just looked at him, and he just like looked at me. We were just both looking at each other. Oh, were you expecting me to say that? And I was like, yeah, I was expecting you to say that. After that, this really nice nurse, she comes by and she took off the hand stuff. It was like super nice. And dude, like, I didn't even feel when she took out this thing. I thought it was gonna hurt so bad. She was like, oh, like, I'm gonna take you out right now. The rude ass fucking viejita that got me first, she came back and she gave me my discharge paper. I called Angel for him to pick me up. At that point, Angel didn't know, so I called him, and he's like, oh, like, how are you feeling, how's everything? I'll just tell you when you get here, because he came back home, since that took a couple hours and he couldn't be inside. So he came back home, and then he's like, no, like, just tell me right now. I told him everything, and he just so quiet. He like got there like 30 minutes afterwards, and I don't know, it was just like a weird car ride. By that point I hadn't ate anything, so we went to get like mariscos and whatnot. We got aguachiles, and my mom kept texting me and texting me and texting me, and she's like, oh, like, are you okay, like what happened, this and that. And I just kept ignoring her. So I sent her that because she kept texting me, and I felt, afterwards I felt bad. Like at the beginning I was annoying, and then she called me, and then we were on the phone for like a good 30 minutes, and we were just talking. I was just crying, and she was like, oh, like, stay. She came by and she brought me flowers, pollo, got me a pie. I stopped going to work for like almost 2-3 weeks. I can't remember. I know it was a long time. I was just like dealing with my own shit, and at that point, like, I really felt like I was losing my shit. So I was like, dude, I really feel like I'm fucking losing my shit, and I don't know, I was like, and I can't deal with it by myself anymore. So at that point I was like, oh, like, give me the phone number to your psychologist. And I started seeing her. I think I saw her once or twice, and then Angel and I ended up doing ayahuasca. So when we did ayahuasca, I'm not gonna go in depth into that because this video is already long, but that did help me a lot with the whole miscarriage situation. After I did the ayahuasca, I was like at peace for a long, I mean, I'm at peace now, but I was just so like mellow for a long time. But I feel like lately it's been getting to me, like especially when I get my period, because I tend to get my period on the exact same day every month. Like if I miscarried on March 14, I'll get it April 14 of the following month. It takes me back to that, and like I know like that's always gonna stay there, but I just feel like I need to cope with it better. So honestly, I'll probably go back to the psychologist because I just feel like I need her point of view. I know a lot of people are like, oh, like, why are you going to the psychologist for? But honestly, like, you know, like, we personally know when we're fucking losing our shit. Like, we know when we're not acting the same way we are. We know when we're not. After certain things go down, we know that we're not acting as we usually are. That's when you have to know that you need the help. But if you don't ask for the help, then you're not gonna get it. So at least I feel like for my case, I feel like I've always been very independent, and it's like, oh no, I can do everything by myself, or like I'm tough and this and that. But I know that when I start losing my shit and I don't feel like myself anymore, that's when I know, like, okay, like, you need to get somebody to help you. And I feel like a lot of people like know they're losing their shit, but they don't want to accept the fact that they need help. Me putting this video out there, I feel like vulnerable. And another crazy thing was that I remember like long time ago, I always felt that if I ever had kids, like, I was gonna miscarry the first one. I would dream that from time to time or think about it, but I wouldn't like really put that much thought into it because back in the day I never wanted kids. To me it was like, whatever, like, I didn't pay that much attention to it, or I didn't really care. But then now that this happened, it's kind of like, a lot of people honestly go through this. I guess it's something that happens a lot. It's hard. Like I'm saying, like, some days I'll be good in my feelings the whole freaking day. Thank you for watching this video, and if you guys are going through anything like this out there, or know of anybody going through this out there, the first time that I saw a psychologist, she was like, oh, like, how do you feel about the whole miscarriage? And I literally, oh, how do you feel about the whole miscarriage thing? And I told her, I was like, oh, I feel like maybe it wasn't my time. God was like, oh, it's not your time right now, or something like that. She was like, oh, no. She was like, no. She's like, that's something that somebody else that doesn't know what that feeling is will tell you, like a stranger or like a family member, like, oh, like, it sucks, but maybe it wasn't your time, or maybe you weren't prepared, or, you know, anything along those lines. But she was like, how do you feel? And that's when it really hit me, because I was like, fuck, like, how do I really feel about the situation? Like, we just started talking about it, and then she's like, you're not over it, it's just that you're trying to like put your feelings aside from it and just let it be, like, let the situation stay there, but you're not letting yourself grieve. Which was true, because I feel like at the beginning, like, it would get to me, but then like after a week, like the first days, like, I would just like sometimes cry myself to sleep, and then after that, like, I was like, okay, like, you gotta stop crying and stop letting it get to you like that, and just like forget about it, which you're never gonna forget about it. It's always gonna be like in the back of your head. But I do feel like if you want to feel sad about it, but don't let the sadness take over you. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.